Okay, thank you very much, Logan. That having been said, welcome everybody, and I will turn the meeting over at this point to Cheryl for announcements.
Thank you, everybody, and appreciate you joining the February 9th Montana Board of Housing public meeting. If we're just via Zoom today, so please keep your line muted unless you're actively providing a comment. You can use the microphone audio button in the lower left-hand screen to mute and unmute. If you're joining by phone only, typically it's a *6 to mute and unmute and a *9 to raise your hand. You can use headphones if you would like, as that can eliminate echo. And public comment or questions will be accepted by typing into the webinar chat, as well as unmuting your phone and talking. Please wait for the board chair to call on you. If you're joining by conference call only, if you can please send your name, title, and company information to housing@mt.gov, housing@mt.gov, so we can capture your attendance for our meeting minutes. And when you provide public comment, please state your name and spell your last name and organization so we can capture that as well. And with that, I'll turn it back to Chair Posey to introduce board members.
Thank you much, Cheryl. I'm Bruce Posey, the chair out of Billings. Sheila?
Good morning, everyone. It's Sheila Rice, Vice Chair out of Great Falls.
Amber?
Amber Parrish, Secretary out of Billings.
Thank you. Jeanette?
Jeanette McKee, Hamilton.
Thank you. Richard?
Richard Miltenberger, board member out of Helena.
Rachel?
Rachel Arthur, board member out of Great Falls.
And Ryan?
Ryan Aiken, board member in Missoula.
Thank you very much. That is your board members. I will turn it now back to Cheryl for the introduction of staff.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I'm just going to read off staff as I see them on my screen here. We have Jessica Michael, Homeownership Program Manager, Brian Barnes, Multifamily Asset Manager, Megan Sojourner, Office Manager. We have Jason Hansen, Multifamily Program Manager, Ryan Culver, Compliance Supervisor, Logan Kohlberg, Executive Assistant, Bruce Brenstall with the Multifamily Allocation Team, Joe DeFilippis, Operations Manager, Charlie Brown, Homeownership Supervisor, Danielle Bauer, Daily Ops Supervisor with Servicing, Kelly Garigula with the Multifamily Allocation Team, Julie Flynn, Community Housing Program Manager, Jules Ingalls with the Community Housing Team, Ashley Miller, Board of Housing Finance Team, and we have Jesse Ennis, Mortgage Servicing Program Manager, Vicki Bauer, Accounting and Finance Manager, Nicole Newman with the Community Housing Team. And I believe I've called off all staff, and I'll also note Nathan Abilu, our General Counsel. Have I missed any board staff listed there? All right, and I'll go ahead and turn it over to Joe to introduce public members that we have on the call today.
Sure. Good morning. Let's see here. We've got, oh, it just keeps moving on me. Angela Getchell, Carl Ladenburg, Drew Page, Mina Chu, Misty Dalkey, Nicole Newman, Parker Webb, Patrick Zhang, Rob Joy, Ron Culver, Trista Krantz, Tyler Currents, and I'm going back up top here just to make sure I didn't miss anyone. Did I miss anyone from the public side? I think I've got everyone there. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much, Joe.
Yep.
Cheryl as well. Well, now we come to time for public comment on any public matter that is not on this agenda that is within the jurisdiction of this agency. Do we have any public comment at this time?
Seeing none, Chair Posey.
Okay, thank you very much, Joe. Then we'll go ahead and move on to the minutes of the January 12th, 2026 board meeting. They were all in your packet. Does the board have any questions or discussions regarding these minutes? Does the public have any questions or comments regarding these minutes?
Seeing none, Chair Posey.
Thank you. That being the case, may I have a motion and a second for approval? And again, I will ask that when you make the motion and the second, please say your name so that we get that down properly in the minutes. Motion second for approval, please.
This is Sheila Rice. I would move approval.
Thank you, Sheila. May I have a second?
This is Richard. I would second.
Thank you, Richard. It's been moved and seconded for approval of the minutes of the January 12th, 2026 board meeting. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Thank you very much. Motion carries. Let's now move on to the finance program and Vicky.
Good morning. As you can see from the bar graph under investment diversification, we currently have $115.3 million of investments, approximately 100.5% or 100.5 million of that is deposited in money market, earning 3.86. The MBS program at the end of December, we had purchased $167.2 million of Ginnie Mae MBSs and $7.9 million of Fannie Mae MBSs. Month over month, that's about a $576,000 increase in Fannie Mae MBSs and about $14.9 million of Ginnie Mae MBSs. So that program is going well. The lenders are responding well to it. Weighted average interest yield, you can see overall we had a slight decline in the weighted average interest yield month over month. It went from 4.02 in November to 3.91 in December. And the bonds outstanding for all of our indentures are listed on the bottom of the dashboard. We did have a successful pricing in January for the 2026 A bond issue that we are issuing for $70 million. We'll close that issue here in February next week. Mina or Patrick, are you available to discuss the pricing at all?
Hi, Vicki. This is Mina too. So the Montana Board of Housing, the week that we priced was MLK week, and Monday the markets were closed, and over the weekend the market was a little bit concerned over Greenland, and so there was a lot of market volatility over the weekend. But by the time President Trump had landed in Davos and calmed the markets down by saying, the U.S. will not use force, that calmed the market down. But there was a major swing in the volatility from Tuesday to Wednesday, and we priced the bonds on Wednesday. And so all the investors were back in the market. It was a very successful transaction. All the bonds were spoken for, and it was just, it ended up being a great time to be in the market. So a very successful sale that provided bond funds to continue making mortgage rates at very attractive rates. And we are open to questions. And I don't know, Patrick, you want to add anything to that?
Nope, we're good here. Thanks, Mina.
Chairman Posey, I would have a question for Mina.
Absolutely, Sheila.
So Mina, when you say attractive pricing, what was that pricing? I know it's kind of a mixture when we get it all done, but what did that pricing come in at?
Patrick, do you have the all-in pricing, the bond yield for the 2026? Hold on one second.
Hi, Sheila. Good morning. This is Patrick with RBC. I think it's around a 440 bond yield. I think what's more important is the spread between the mortgage rate and the bond yield, which allows the board to put quality assets on balance sheet, earning that spread over time. And that spread is over the 1.125 limit, which means we're creating 4 million of zeros, can be used to hedge against the interest rate volatility going forward. Also give the board some flexibility to adjust rates, just because we are lending at 5 and 5/8 mortgage rate to first-time home buyers, which is really attractive below market rates. And the board have some wiggle room to lower the rates even further to make the program more attractive.
Right. So if the bond yield is about 440, that means you are borrowing funds at 4.4% roughly, and making mortgages at 5 and 5/8 or so. And the difference between your mortgage rate and your bond rate is a 30-year spread that you can take over the life of the loan. And because these are tax exempt, the IRS doesn't allow you to make more profit than 1 1/8. So, yeah, you do have room to lower rates. And Montana is in a very enviable position relative to your counterparts across the country because you don't have a shortage of volume cap. So you can borrow at 100% tax exempt rate, and that's one of the reasons why your lending is so attractive.
Mr. Chair, I'd have another question.
Go ahead, Sheila.
So that I don't know that this is for Mina as much as it's for staff. Does this give us the ability, a favorable rating? Does that give us the ability to do more what I'd call discounted rates like the Habitat for Humanity?
What we do is within each bond issue, we have multiple rates. And what we're doing right now is we're banking those zeros, which allows us, when we come into the market where bond rates aren't as favorable compared to mortgage interest rates, then we can blend those zeros to be able to offer future more attractive rate to help first-time home buyers. So it's kind of it depends. It's not a straight off swap because we try to use those zeros strategically.
And I would add as well, Sheila, that we want to keep that spread with the issue that 1 1/8. So if we offer more loans at a lower discount, to maintain that spread for healthy, financials going forward, we would want to pair it with loans that are at a higher interest rate. So it's not that everything can go lower. Some things would need to be offset. So we maintain that healthy spread in the program. And Mina or Patrick, feel free to chime in if there's anything else that you'd like to add.
What's that? No. Can I get
Hold on. Oh, there we go.
Okay. So if I could just add, it's been a great time to issue tax exempt bonds for the past several years, a couple of years, and state housing finance agencies are actually counter-cyclical in the sense that when mortgage rates are high, that is when state housing finance agencies like the Montana Board of Housing can be more effective and impactful to the borrower because you can make, mortgage rates that are significantly through the market. But when mortgage rates are hovering around 3%, it's very hard to borrow money for 3 years at a significantly reduced rate to be cost effective in both the normal standard program and set aside programs and special programs. So we like to save our zeros for a rainy day and not necessarily it's all market driven. So right now it's great, but we don't know how long that market attractiveness or advantage will be.
So let me try to paraphrase what I just heard. And that's that yes, we would have the ability to do some special rates, but that's offset by the need to bank these zeros against a future rainy day. But it doesn't seem like I heard yes or no. It's like maybe we can, but we have these other things to consider. Am I thinking about that right?
Yeah, I
From
think,
an economic, sorry, Cheryl.
oh, go ahead, Mina.
Yes, from an economic perspective, for this deal, yes, you do have a lot of room because we created zeros, but it's it's nothing that we can commit to sustaining.
So Mina, when you say nothing you can commit to sustaining, does that mean we couldn't do 30-year mortgages with these zeros?
Um, we can do 30 years zero. So on this deal, you have a lot of room to lower rates and because you have already running start on this program that you locked in the rates. So you do have room to both have an attractive standard program and commit to a certain lower rate habitat or other set-aside loans. So on this deal, yes, we do have that capacity.
Okay. Thank you for letting me drill down on this. I just think it's so important to offer some of those special programs because it really meets a need for people that are lower income, that are just priced out of the affordability market. Affordability is not available to them. They can't buy a house, but if we can offer, again, for a very limited population, a special program, then I think it really deepens our mission. Okay, Bruce, enough of that rant. We can go on.
Okay. Thank you, Sheila. Do we have any other questions or comments from the board? For Vicky or for Mina and Patrick?
I'm all set.
Go ahead, Vicky.
Oh, no, I'm unless there are other questions, that concludes my financial dashboard.
Oh, okay. All right. So any other questions from the board or comments? Do we have any public questions or comments on this report?
Seeing none, Chair Posey.
That being the case, Vicky, thank you very much. Sheila, thank you for your questions. They're appreciated. And let's go ahead and move on now to the homeownership program and Jessica.
Good morning, everyone. It's between snowing and raining here in Helena. It's very sloopy. I call it sloopy outside. Hope everyone is well. The first thing on my agenda is a new lender approval. And Rob Joy from Supreme Lending is on the meeting today. So if you have any questions for him, he would be able to answer those. So Supreme Lending was founded by Scott Everett as Everett Financial Incorporated in 1997 and launched operations as Supreme Lending in 1999. Their headquarters is in Dallas, Texas, and is home to 300 employees. Their Montana location is located at 3010 Santa Fe Court, first floor, Suite 231 in Missoula, and is home to 5 employees. Leading with their customer for life philosophy that emphasizes long-term relationships, repeat business, and referrals, Supreme Lending offers a comprehensive range of purchase and refinance mortgage products and is approved seller servicer with both Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, as well as Ginnie Mae approved providing FHA, VA, and USDA loans. They support affordable home ownership and look forward to originating both down payment assistance and mortgage credit certificate programs that MBOH offers. Sorry, that's a typo. Should be Supreme Lending. Resources, application, material quality control, and financials have been viewed and approved by the staff, and they meet the requirements for becoming a Montana Board of Housing participating lender. Their full application and financial information are available for board members to review on request. And the staff requests the board approve Supreme Lending as a participating lender for Montana Board of Housing.
Thank you, Jessica. Do we have any questions from the board and or discussions about Supreme Lending's approval? Do we have any public comments and or questions?
Seeing none, Chair Posey.
Thank you very much, Joe. That being the case, may I have an approval and a second for the approval of Supreme Mortgage Lending, as a participating lender for the Montana Board of Housing?
This is Jeanette, moves approval of Supreme Lending as a participating lender.
Thank you, Jeanette. May I have a second?
This is Ryan. I'll
Rachel.
second.
I will. Oh, hi, Ryan. This is Rachel.
Continue.
I will second.
Thank you, Rachel. I appreciate that. It's been moved and seconded for the approval of Supreme Lending as a approved mortgage lender for this Board of Housing. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Back to you, Jessica.
And my dashboard. Not too much has happened in the last month. We're still percolating right along in winter slowdown. We had, it looks like 37 new reservations in January and sold 29 loans to first mortgage loans to Idaho as our master servicer. And then, of course, buy that back, that mortgage-backed security. There's still that one nagging one in foreclosure that's been on their books, and they've been working through for months now. So it's the same one, nothing new there. And our year-to-date numbers are finally here. Evergreen Mortgage had 125 first mortgages and 50 DPAs, so they're our big winner for 2025. And with Stockman Bank of Montana being a close second. As you can see in our next, scroll down, scroll. There we go. December 2025 portfolio summary. It is dropping a little bit, not a lot. It's just payoffs are slowly coming in with rates being as good as they are that we have on the books. Not a lot of people want to refinance. So mostly those are just people paying off and selling or having to use some sort of equity. That's about it. No new RAM loans. We did increase as the board approved to 250,000, but we haven't had any takers on that yet. And foreclosures are upticking, but that's expected with the environment the way that it is. So if you have any questions, please let me know. Oh, one more thing. Sorry. We are meeting this Thursday, the 12th, with CLTs and Habitats to discuss a program, if we can do anything to help those folks. And so stay tuned for further developments in the coming months on that.
Thank you, Jessica. Do we have any board questions or comments? I just have one question or one comment. It's not a question. When the minutes get done, please make note of the air that said Premier.
Yes.
It has Supreme, so we have that done properly.
Thank you.
Any public questions or comments for Jessica's report? Well, hearing none, Jessica, thank you very much. And we'll move on to the multifamily program and Jason.
I think we have servicing up next, actually.
Well, that's fine. That's not what my sheet shows, but you want to do servicing, I'm fine with that.
Well,
so Jess.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll hop into the servicing dashboard here. So for the month of January, we've got roughly 5,900 loans in our portfolio, totaling at about $693 million, $7.2 million sitting in escrow. accounts, we had a little bit of an uptick in our lost draft portfolio, sitting at $945,000 there. We onboarded we onboarded 2 loans and paid off 24 loans last month. We've got 13 repayment plans and 5 special forbearances. We've got 8 partial claims and trial payment plans. We've got 10 preservation properties in our portfolio, with one of those being an REO property. Moving down to the foreclosures section, we have 45 foreclosures initiated. At this present time, that's roughly $8.2 million in principal. We have 24 foreclosures scheduled, all of those being FHA loans. Then moving on to the next page there, I know last month there was a request to get the seasoning of the loans that are in foreclosure, kind of in that foreclosure process. So we put together this foreclosures by origination date sheet, so you can kind of see a breakdown as far as that goes. You're probably looking at about 75% of those initiated foreclosures being 2020 to present. And that concludes my presentation.
Any board comments or questions? Well, my first comment, Jess, is thank you very much for this last chart. That does help a great deal, because if we look at loans from 2003 and maybe to 2018, many of those loans probably will not make it into foreclosure just due to loan balances will get bought out. So that's all good news.
Yeah.
And we would expect to see historically what we're seeing from 20 to 24. Typically foreclosures happen early, not late.
Yep.
So thank you very much for doing this.
Yep, absolutely. And I can provide that too in the future if need be.
Jesse, this is Jeanette. Just do you have any sense of 2025 at all? Any sense of, I'm not holding you to numbers.
Sure. Yeah. So we're going to have a fair amount in 2025, just from the looks of it right now.
Does that mean double the 8 or?
Yeah, I don't know if it'd be double necessarily, but we do have, quite a few kind of in that pipeline.
Yeah.
That we're kind of working through right now.
Just kind of a guesstimate, understand. Thanks.
Yep. No problem.
Do we have other board questions, comments for this report? Do we have any public questions or comments for Jesse's report?
Seeing none, Chair Posey.
Thank you very much, Joe. That being the case, Jesse, thank you very much. We appreciate it. Jason, we'll move to you now.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, today, a little different look with the dashboard. We actually have no approvals for today. Some year-end asset management, and we have core reports and compliance. So just to start at the top, just some numbers still, they're about the same as they have been running for the last few months. We should have some more money in the Go Housing HMF by May. So those numbers are staying fairly consistent. The next, we have what's in our pipeline for bond projects not yet closed. So we have 3 different stages. We have what the board has approved. We have what's in review with full applications, and we have what's incoming applications for people that we have talked to and are working on applications. As you can see, it's a pretty big pipeline. There's like 22 projects there. That's roughly $584 million and a little over 3,300 units. The nice thing is the cities are getting more mixed now. So we're getting some, Missoulas, Kalispells, Great Falls, and so forth. Any questions on the pipeline?
Mr. Chair, I have a question. So Jason, how does this look relative to the bond cap?
We should be fine on bond cap. So we have about $250 million in carryover from the last 2 years to use up. And then we would have this year's funds. And then not all this would close this year either. So a lot of this, would close, half of it or more would close next year as well in 27. So we should be just fine on bond cap at the present time.
I just think it should be noted, that this is new territory for us, having been on the board for a long, long time. This is tremendous. It's really invigorating to see all of these projects that are coming through on the 4% side. I know many of them are 4.9 combined, but this is putting a lot of houses on the ground with the 4% financing. And I know that there's a lot of factors in that, but I want to thank the developers for their creativity and being able to use the 4s to put more houses down as compared to our very limited and hard to decide which projects, 9% projects. So good job. I'd also extend that to the staff because these are things that need to be reviewed on top of everything else they have to do. So thank you, staff, for all your work on this.
Thank you, Sheila. Other comments? I have a comment only because I was speaking with an architect who does quite a bit of business in Bozeman as well as in Billings, but he was not aware that we were putting so much money into the Bozeman market for rents that were at the 60% type levels. I don't know how we promote that a little better, by the way, but I'm just saying that was an interesting comment to me because we've obviously done a lot of work in Bozeman lately. And here's an architect who wasn't real familiar with any of that, but just a comment. Do we have any other board questions or comments?
Okay, I can go to quarter reports then, Mr. Chair.
Yes, you can.
Just a quick update there. We just flagged 4 of them on here for your awareness. Just some, some projects that were anticipated completion at one point and they're getting pushed back a little bit. So nothing major, nothing too big. Just and some of these we've been aware of from prior meetings. So just for your awareness, it's only 4 of them and nothing too major.
Jason, could you put the cities on those for the next report too?
Sure.
I have trouble tracking the names sometimes.
Yep.
Thank you. And I appreciate having the cities up on the prior report too. Thank you.
All right, go to the next page. This is our annual compliance report. Just wanted you to be aware kind of how much our compliance department does across the state all year long. So they actually inspected 407 buildings. This was 1,619 units inspected. We just threw in there some common deficiencies just so you can kind of see deficiencies with smoke detectors, vacant not ready units, minor cosmetic defects, and so forth. So nothing too major there. Project entities we've been having some issues with. Just wanted to flag Comstock Apartments. They did have 2 units offline, which ended up in an 8823 pending process, which then goes to the IRS. If they would have known that this would have been an issue up front, then it wouldn't have been an 8823. But the issue is being resolved. We actually went down to Bozeman, went through those units. So issues being resolved. They should be up online here as soon as possible. And then we just have a couple other projects on there that lacked a response on getting owners compliance reports and so forth. So
Jason,
Question.
this is Matt. What do you do with the lack of response thing? I remember that's when it kind of caught my eye.
Sure. Ryan Culver, our compliance supervisor, is actually on the meeting if Ryan wants to reply to that.
Yeah.
Yes, hi, thanks, Jeanette. We when it comes to lack of response, we do just continue to reach out and make phone calls, send emails. These are time consuming.
Yeah, I understand that, and yet I would be frustrated, and I'm sure you are at that. So anyway, if there's of those 4, that one would be more concerning to me that you just don't. Yeah, and truthfully, that's. Do you go on site? What do you do? You go knock on the door. Those are just frustrating. I'm sure.
Yes.
So do you.
Yes. And when we're on site doing inspections and things, we also do spend some time and try and catch up with them a little bit when we can get these kinds of things straightened out.
Kind of a red flag sort of a thing.
And I would just add, Jeanette, as well, that the compliance options available to us do depend on if the project is within the initial 15 years of the tax credit compliance period versus the extended use period. We also have some language within the qualified allocation plan, kind of noting that current projects or owners that are lacking response to some of these items, that may be a factor in the board members' consideration for allocation of new credits.
I bet it will. Thanks, Sheila. Or thanks, Cheryl, not Sheila. Thank you.
Do we have other board comments or questions? I do have a question. We have 407 buildings. Obviously, that's a lot. Do we inspect 10% of that a year, 20% a year? What is our obligation there?
So when it's a new project, we do 100%. And then when it is not a new project, it comes up about every 3 years. Ryan, correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe we do 20% at those inspections.
That's correct, Jason. That's the 20% of the units. However,
yes,
we do have to see all of the buildings that are in that project.
Okay, so do we see all buildings every year?
No, and Bruce, that actually the 407 there, the number of buildings, those are just the ones we visited last year. We have more buildings. We have more buildings than that in our portfolio.
Okay, so but you visited 407 buildings.
That's correct.
You were busy. Okay. Yeah. You got to my point. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Any other board comments or questions? Well, I think you can see that this has really taken off from a part of the Board of Housing, what we do, and it's a very important part of what we do, but it certainly has taken off. And congratulations to all the staff for having made this happen, as well as developers who step in and work with us as well. So this is great. Do we have any public comments or questions at this point?
Seeing none, Chair Posey.
Okay. And Jason, do you have anything else?
I do, Mr. Chair. So next we'll have Brian Barnes. He's our asset manager. He's been with us for a little over 2 years now, and he has a asset management yearly report as well.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes, good morning, Chair and Board. I'm going to go ahead and start going through our multifamily asset management dashboard for 2025, and you can ask questions in between or at the end. So the first part, we'll go through the multifamily 2025 production, the 9%. As you recall, these were awarded in the October meeting of 2024. 136 units were approved at $37 million. Looking at the 4%, over 2025, 332 units were approved at close to 83 million tax credits and 115 in bonds. As you can see, the 4% are going a long ways, as mentioned earlier. During 2025, there wasn't any old coal trust issued, but as that money was divvied out already, but in the competitive round coming up, we will be issuing more as per the amount that Jason had in his previous dashboard. In the 2025, we issued one multifamily loan at 296 units for Rocky Mountain Flats at $2.2 million. And on a side note on that, we're hoping to close the 4%. We're hoping to close that in a few months. So the grand total for this year for 2025 was 764 at $237 million.
Okay, do we have questions, board, for Brian? Brian, the Rocky Mountain Flats project, where is that located? In Bozeman?
Yeah, it's in Bozeman.
Yep.
Yeah, but where in Bozeman?
Oh, it's on the south side, down by the college and all that new developed land to the south and the west there.
Okay, that's where I was thinking. I had driven past there this weekend and I was just trying to get my direction straight here. So do we have any other board comments or questions for Brian? Do we have any public comments or questions for either Brian or Jason?
Seeing none, Chair Posey.
Thank you very much, Joe.
Okay, so the next piece is a 2025 asset management. And so what this is comparing is the per unit cost at application versus the final per unit cost when the final cost certification comes in with the and they submit their 8609 tax documentation at completion. So for the 9%, you see that there was relatively a low change, just slight increase, except for Riverview. And as you recall, in June, you guys had approved a waiver for over the 20% QAP threshold. So that's why that is significantly higher. With the 4%, many of those, there was minimal change and some actually decreased. As you can see, the cost per unit are less, a lot of these are less than what you'd expect because they are rehab versus new construction, which is more costly. And then we had one more, a combined 9% and 4% with Elmore Roberts, which did go up slightly, but still underneath that 20%.
Any
Okay.
questions?
This is really helpful, and I really, really appreciate this report. Brian, at the risk of adding too many columns, I'd love to see these identified as rehab or new, and also what city they're in.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you very much for the report, though. It's very helpful.
Yep. And so then finally, we'll go down to our charts. So what these charts represent is data from the loans that we service, that we pay taxes on and insurance on. So specifically these loans. So for the debt coverage ratios, initially we were higher at about a little under 2%, but we have trended down to a little over 1.2%. This nationwide, this trend has been going down, and we are watching this, but it's still above our 1.15 threshold area. One thing I do want to note on this one is there were a couple projects that had a little bit higher expenses, unforeseen expenses, such as a boiler issue and a flooding issue. So it's skewed a little bit, but once we get more projects in, this should level out a little bit more. So we can scroll down to the next chart. So this next one is the average expenses per unit from 2020 going on. It did trend up a little bit, but has leveled out. As you guys know, though, a couple years ago, you guys did approve for the average expenses to go to $8,000 per unit, which we are below. This will be interesting to see how this stays with as we add more loans into this data. And then we can go to the last one. And this is interesting, and I know people are interested about this. This is our average increase in taxes and insurance. As you can see, insurance-wise, 2020 to 2024, the increases were a little bit more of a spike and have leveled out a little bit at 2025. I have started to notice invoices where the insurance is not as steep of an increase as before. And then for the property taxes, they have increased every year on average, but that trend is starting to go down. And for 2025, only 3 loans did see increases, but the rest had decreased. So that's interesting trend to look at. So basically wanted to give you guys an asset management synopsis. In the future, we'll be adding more detail next year, and we'll provide that. And if you guys have any questions, we can discuss them.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Brian?
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
So Brian, first of all, I think it would be really interesting. I don't want to cause you too much trouble, but to look at median as well as average, because averages can be skewed by the highs and lows. Median tends to give us a little bit different picture. And then the second thing is the difference between these loans, like the property taxes, it's 11 loans, but insurance is 13. So 11 of these loans are paying property taxes, but 2 do not pay. They have the property tax exemption. Am I looking at that right?
Yes.
On the 2025?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Not all the loans we have pay property taxes, but the coal trust ones do, so.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Other questions or comments? Well, I'll echo what Sheila says. These charts are great. They absolutely give us a much better picture of what's going on. And I'm talking about all the charts from all the multifamily here. So we thank you greatly. At least for me, I can look and see and understand a little better. Other board questions or comments? Do we have any public questions or comments?
Seeing none, Chair Posey.
Thank you very much, Joe. That being the case, we would like to thank both Jason and Brian for their presentations, and we'll now move on to operations and the executive director. And I don't know if Cheryl's starting, if Joe's starting.
Sure, I'll go ahead and take this one, Mr. Chair. So our first, just to have a little bit more formality, as you guys approved our 2026 board meeting calendar, I believe it was last month or the month before. We had selected Fort Benton as our in-person location for the October meetings. Unfortunately, there is a need for lodging more than what was available at Fort Benton. And so to ensure that we can all have comfortable, accessible seating, the staff are recommending that we relocate the October meetings to Miles City. We do have Saddlehorn Apartments in our that's under development there. We haven't been any further east than Billings in quite some time. I do know that it's a long haul, but I think Logan's got a nice venue outlined for us and maybe a fun tour as well. So the staff is seeking and recommends the board's approval to update our board meeting calendar to change the location in October from Fort Benton to Miles City.
Do we have any questions or comments before we approve this change? Well, hearing none, may I have a motion for approval of the 2026 calendar, which the approval here is we're changing from Fort Benton to Miles City in our October meeting. May I have a motion in a second, please?
This is Amber, so moved.
Thank you, Amber. May I have a second?
This is Ryan. I'll second.
Thank you very much, Ryan. It's been moved and seconded that we approve the attached 2026 calendar with the change from Fort Benton to Miles City. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Cheryl, back to you.
All right, and I'll go ahead and take the next one. This is the rental assistance dashboard. We've updated the format on this a little bit as well. So you can see at the top paid units. This is either referring to paid units in a project-based scenario or paid vouchers in a tenant-based scenario. So the data for January, we had just under 7,000 paid units in all programs. And we had about 3,200, almost 3,300 on our waiting lists. For the Housing Choice Voucher Program, we had 2,900 or so paid vouchers units, and our monthly expense amount to landlords was 2.16 million. For Veteran Affairs Supportive Housing, you'll see that our number of paid units increased from 274 to 297. We have been receiving quite a bit more referrals from Veteran Affairs, which is great. All of the referrals for the VASH program have to come from the VA, so we're really pleased to be able to increase utilization in that program. Our moderate rehabilitation program is slowly winding down. This is a very old legacy program at HUD. We did have 1 unit decrease. For mainstream vouchers, we're staying steady, but we're partnering with Department of Public Health and Human Services. We've had a series of calls over the last several months to update our memorandum of understanding and our referral process. This program serves non-elderly persons with disabilities. And for project-based VASH, this is the Freedom's Path at Fort Harrison project, where the Commerce had not approved new move-ins due to unmitigated lead-based paint concerns at the property. The owner did take some significant steps over the summer and fall to do some exterior painting on deteriorating paint areas. This was called a repair painting method as opposed to a full abatement. But we were able to go back and inspect those units, and their third-party risk assessor provided a clearance letter that met federal requirements. So we have now been approving new admissions into that property. And for emergency housing vouchers, these are in process of being converted into straight housing choice vouchers. So you'll see that decline, and eventually the EHV will be removed from this report. This was an American Rescue Plan Act one-time only program, and so the funds for that program are winding down. And then moving down to project-based section 8. So we have a specific role as the project-based contract administrator for the state of Montana. We have 85 contracts with about 3,600 units, and the housing assistance payment out to those landlords is nearly 2.9 million. And then we have a very few 811 projects left. These are project-based properties for non-elderly persons with disabilities. We currently only have 2 of those properties with 13 units leased. And happy to take any questions. So we do have information here about rental assistance waiting lists as well, because we had pulled and issued about 700 vouchers. And I think finally by the close of the year, I think it ended up being a little bit higher than that. About 300 or so of those have leased up, and we're monitoring those other participants, hoping that they'll have successful lease ups as well. And then we expect that our waitlist numbers will start to climb after this major push. So happy to answer any questions about the rental assistance programs before we move on to the ops dashboard.
Any board questions for Cheryl?
Cheryl, opportunities in Great Falls and Havre, kind of the whole Golden Triangle area, kind of pops out as a big waiting list. Any explanation of what's happening there?
One of the things with opportunity is previously we had partnered with District 4, HRDC, and Havre. And so Opportunities has absorbed not just their area, but all of the Havre Highline area as well. And I just got to give kudos to their staff. They've been really working their wait list and issuing a ton of vouchers. And so I think we'll see their wait list climb, but I think they did probably the greatest number of pulls over the last several months. And so they've done a great job working through the wait list, but we expect that it will grow again as time goes on.
Thank you.
Other board comments or questions for Cheryl? Do we have any public comments or questions for Cheryl and her report so far?
Seeing none, Chair Posey.
Thank you, Joe. Let's go ahead and move on then.
All right, I guess I will start off. So the next board meeting will be Monday, March 16th via Zoom. Be there. Board member opportunities again. The NCSHA LegCon, that was moved to April 21st to the 23rd. Again, if you're interested in going to DC, please get a hold of Cheryl Cohen. I know that there's a few of you that are already planning to attend, but and those travel justifications are in process. So we'll be working on those. But for the rest of the board members, if you're interested, please get a hold of Cheryl or Logan for that. Contracts procurement, emphasis contract. So that's our software for home ownership, servicing, accounting. That was executed on January 21st. And then there was an amendment, the delegation agreement addendum that for our master servicer, which is Idaho Housing Finance Association, that's been executed internally. That one has a notary signature that's needed by Idaho Chuck Cracked there, and we're just waiting on that to come back in. But in essence, it's pretty much a done deal since he's already reviewed the draft and approved that. So we're just waiting for that notary signature to come back on that one. All right, if you scroll down here, Logan, thank you. Personnel, so we're recruiting for part-time property preservation specialist and servicing there. And we are also recruiting for a housing waitlist coordinator in rental assistance. I know that there's been a few interviews for both of those positions, so hopefully we'll be wrapping that up in the next near future here and getting those filled real soon. I think that's all I have for my dashboard here, unless anyone has any questions.
Any questions for Joe at this point from the board? Or any questions from the public at this point?
Do we have any update on the HUD budget?
Ooh, Cheryl, yes, I think.
Sure. So I'll pivot to that. I'll cover real quick for the American Rescue Plan Act Homeowner Assistance Fund. Over 3,800 applications have been submitted. They've expended over 27.3 million. They're also making some adjustments to staffing to help clear backlog for the home repairs program. So that program is still accepting applications. For community housing, so these are our HUD programs. The House passed budget, and then the Senate passed. It was a couple Fridays ago. There was a temporary partial shutdown until the House returned last Tuesday, I believe it was, to pass the budgets. The HUD funding bill did keep things about the same as prior years. So the home program is showing at the same amount, Housing Trust Fund, similar amounts. Commerce has not received our specific 2026 amounts yet, but we anticipate that it will stay relatively the same as the last couple of years, which is about $3 million per year for each the home and Housing Trust Fund programs. But the Housing Trust Fund, the formula factor for that program is dependent on GSE activity volume. So that's Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. So if there are changes with that revenue stream, that can impact that program, which is a really great program. It provides financing for extremely low income units, so very deeply affordable units. And we don't anticipate the HUD's announcement for the 2026 allocations until later this spring. But again, it was good news that those programs were passed and they didn't have any significant decreases. For my update, we are starting to work on our strategic planning and training for the April in-person meeting in Hamilton. Don't worry, board members, if you thought this meeting and January's board meeting was a little slim, there's going to be a lot coming down your way. So we're looking at talking about the CLT habitat set-asides. As Jessica mentioned, we have a meeting with both of those affiliate groups this Thursday. We're reviewing our hazard insurance policy and our loss draft policy and our investment policies. So not all of those may make it, but those are certainly the ones that we're assessing to bring to the board. We will provide an update on an RFP for software solutions. And I'll probably be seeking some information on policy areas to bring to our NCSHA LegComp meetings with members of the Montana Federal Delegation. As Joe mentioned, Ryan, Bruce, and Richard are all attending with me. Logan has completed the travel justifications. I'll leave to her for if we've gotten those all approved. But we already reached out to members of the delegation and are working to schedule meetings. I think we've already got a meeting with Senator Daines' staff scheduled and are working on the other three. We may talk a little bit more about our multifamily pipeline and then also kind of discuss our approach for multifamily loan presentations for the June board meeting. And then finally, if we have time, we may look at our 2029 objectives, goals, strategies, and measures. So this is an activity that we do under the current administration. So these are things that we want to identify for the upcoming biennium. And so fairly high level public facing. So that may be something for the board's discussion as well. The audit of the 2025, if you want to just go, there we go. We believe that the fiscal 25 MBOH financial statements will be presented to the Legislative Audit Committee at their April meeting. The time and date are still be determined, but you can see our written response that was provided to auditors in your board packet. We didn't have any new findings or recommendations, just one continuation from a recommendation from 2024. And as you'll see in our response, we are working to issue a request for proposals for software solutions. We're also working with the Director's Office on the 2027 legislative session and executive planning process, or EPP timeline. So the division administrators, myself included, will be meeting with Commerce leadership to discuss EPP legislative drafts, research budgets, and so forth, and meeting later in March to rank those proposals. And we will also have time later on this year to meet with the Office of Budget and Program Planning to ensure that they're in support of the agency bills that we're looking to include this session. One thing to note, if you're a board member and not signed up to receive NCSHA news, or if you're just a general public stakeholder, Stockton Williams, the director of NCSHA, sends out a Washington report every Friday. His report on the 30th of January included a lot of really great tidbits. So I would strongly encourage board members, if you're not tracking that, to give it a look. I did get an email from Stockton this morning. There is a lot going on at the Hill today, including what we understand to be a vote in the House on the Housing for 21st Century Act this evening. We believe that it's occurring under a suspension of rules that does require a 2/3 vote. I was able to reach out to Congressman Zinke and Downing's office on Friday just to let them know that our agencies here at Commerce and the Board of Housing administer programs that could be impacted by that proposed legislation. And if they have any questions or if we can provide any information, they're more than welcome to reach out. And I did hear back from staff at both Zinke and Congressman Downing's office today. So good news there. It includes a number of bipartisan proposed legislation, including work that came out from Senator Tim Scott and Elizabeth Warren out of the Senate. It looks to modernize the home program. Unfortunately, it didn't include an exemption to Build America, Buy America that many in our industry were hoping for, but it does include direction to the HUD Secretary to assess the impact of BABA on the home program. So there may be some work there. So lots happening federally. For local, we've got the Housing Partnership Conference coming up in May. It'll be at the Fairmont Hot Springs. For keynote addresses, we have Ralph Perry, who's my counterpart with the Tennessee Housing Development Association, as well as Mandy Fable, who's the Executive Director of Leadership Wyoming. Director Perry is going to have a talk about building the housing America needs, discussing what resources and policies are needed to make it easier to build homes affordable to moderate and middle-income families. And Ms. Fable is going to close our conference with a talk on leadership and uncertainty. And she's going to share experiences from her adventures in the mountain and how those can be applied to leading in a constantly changing environment. And finally, we're also wanting to highlight many other state agency programs that support affordable housing and tenancy support services. So attendees will have the option of attending 1 or 2 tours, showcasing affordable housing developments in Anaconda or Butte, or staying at the Fairmont Hotel. We're working with NeighborWorks America for a workshop on negotiations, as well as a workshop on homelessness and supportive housing. The steering committee is very excited to bring the content that we've been working on with partners across the state. So keep an eye out for notice next month for when registration goes live. And actually, in fact, it's this month. So we'll let board members know, but you are all strongly encouraged to attend. And that wraps up my report, and happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Cheryl. Do we have any questions for Cheryl on this report from the board or comments? I will echo Cheryl's comments about attending these other meetings that when we're able. And so the one in Fairmont, for anyone that's able on the board, I think it is important. I've found them valuable. And I do also believe they who organize them spend a great deal of time and commitment to make a worthwhile time for a board member to be there. Any board comments or questions? Do we have any public comments or questions?
Seeing none, Chair Posey.
Thank you very much, Joe. We will then adjourn this meeting. Thank you, board members, for questions and comments. That's what we're here for. Thank you, staff, for putting on an excellent presentation this morning. And I wish you all a great February, and we'll see you come March. Thanks.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Have a
you.
great day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.